Yes, a big, giant, wet dog, just what I needed. All right, hey, look, your people are out there. You haven't learned what they are yet, but you don't care, do you? You just want me. Well, I care. Hi, everybody, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center, along with 5-month-old Eco, the Eco Watchdog, and somewhere wandering around here is Sarah. I used to call her Sarah, the world's ugliest chihuahua. I think she's Sarah, the world's prettiest chiweenie. But it's not about chiweenies or a 5-month-old hideous puppy. We're going to be raising meat chickens in this series of videos. Should be 4, there might be 5. And we're going to start with today with the arrival of the chickens, the chicks, all the way through to slaughter. Now I'm not going to slaughter them. I've done processing chicken videos in the past. But we are going to follow their progress. And the reason I want to follow their progress is I haven't done a video in a while about chickens and poultry, mainly because there's only so much you can cover and then you've covered it all. But it's probably a good idea to do a fresh perspective on meat birds. So here's what we're going to do with fresh perspective. I'm going to walk out there in a minute and show you the birds. But what I've done, we ordered 100 meat birds in August. It's August 6th. Typically people will order their meat birds in, say, February, March, April, right in there. Now the reason I switched it around to August here in the desert of far west Texas is our daytime temperatures are running at 100 to 105, 103 is about kind of the average at the end of the day. And our nighttime temperatures run down anywhere in this from 70 to 75, say. And it hits at 3 in the morning to, like 6 in the morning. That's ideal because when your chicks first arrive, they're not able to regulate their temperature and they want to be in the neighborhood of 95 to 101 degrees. That's what they want to be. So if I get birds here, let's say in February, even into March, but in February, those birds need heat. They need to be kept in a brooder, indoors, so they're inside the house with us in a brooder with a heat lamp on. And then as we raise them up to where they're getting that massive body weight, where they're essentially a 500-pound or a 400-pound obese human, or equivalent to that, it's May. And May is one of our hottest months. We'll hit 105, 112 degrees, and we're asking those big old fat cows to try to stay alive in that temperature. It's a lot of stress from the beginning to the end. So what I've done is flipped it around. We're getting them in the month when our nights are the hottest, which is August. Occasionally in August we'll even get a night where it stays in the 80s all night long. That way the supplemental heat will be to a minimum. We have to start our generator right now because our batteries are bad, so we have to start our generator at about 3 in the morning, which is about when the temperature is getting a little too cool for them. Start the generator, plug in the heat lamp until sunrise. Then the temperature rises up in the 80s. Everything should be fine. The other side of the coin is as they gain weight and get to the point where they're becoming those big, obese, ugly things, we're into late October and November when it's cooler out and they don't have to work hard to keep cool. Works out great for me. So there's your little lesson in the heating of them. I'll talk a little bit about feed and about economy and show you the birds and their quarters right now. Now the geese will probably make noise in the background. You know what I look like, so I just figured while I talk now, we'll just focus on the antics of these young chicks. These chicks have just arrived. They were hatched. They didn't tell me exactly when they were hatched, but probably Monday, no later than Tuesday. Today being Thursday, so they said it takes 2 days for anything to get here. So they're anywhere from 2 to 3 day old chicks. They sent me 104. I ordered 100. They sent me 104 because typically you'll get 2 or 3 that'll die in the box. We haven't had any die yet. We have one that's showing a malady that I'm quite familiar with, where they keep tipping their head up and looking towards the sky. Usually when a bird's doing that, it's going to die. You also have to, when they're young like this, when they first arrive, you got to watch that they don't pile up in the water. Temperature now is in the 90s, so they're real active and quite happy. I see my guy that was looking at the sky is not looking at the sky now, so maybe there's hope for him. Typically, you're not going to get 104 that are going to survive. You're going to get a 10% death rate along the way somewhere. So that'll be about 90 to 95 birds that we'll get. And I've based the numbers that I'm going to give you on 90 birds surviving. So as you can see, they arrived. They're running around. They're quite active. There's a number of good hatcheries out there, and I can name them, off the top of my head. Stromberg, McMurray, gosh, that's all I can think of. Plus the people that I bought from, which is Purely Poultry. Now, I believe Purely Poultry is more of a brokerage house than they are a hatchery. So if they see this and want to correct me, go right ahead. But at any rate, the birds come from outside, from someone else. Typically the meat birds, the Cornish crosses, which is what these are a strain called either the 508 or the 708. These are the ones I've had. I did videos on a couple of years ago, the weight gain and everything, so I won't get into that just yet, but we will as the series goes on. The birds cost me, and I got them on sale. They're usually about $2.10 to $2.50 a bird. For whatever reason, they offered me a deal, and it happened to come right in August at $1.50 a bird. That's a tremendous deal. So $1.50 a bird, plus I had a credit I wasn't aware of, and they gave me a discount for being a return customer. So I got about I have $146 in 104 birds. Now, they're going to eat for their entire life because they are Cornish crosses. They are strictly a meat bird. They're going to eat for their entire life a starter grower feed, but it's a non-medicated feed at 22% protein. I like higher protein, but when you're dealing with these meat birds that want to explode in growth, if you give them too much protein, the muscle tissue is going to grow very fast, the bones won't grow so fast, and you can have a lot of issues up to and including preventable flip over, which is where they literally flip over, have a heart attack and die, or flip over and get suffocated by the weight of their breast. We don't want that, so we're going to stay with 22% protein. The feed I buy comes from Bryant Mills, which I believe you can only get in Texas. I have just dealt with Bryant because I've talked to them, I've been to their mill, I know them, and I know the process they use, which is entirely different than that one that's got the chessboard that every feed store in the country seems to be getting, drinking the Kool-Aid of. That chessboard feed is garbage, and I can tell you about that, and I've told you about that in the past. You need to stay with something like a local mill like Bryant that uses the entire corn, the entire kernel of corn, and grinds up the entire kernel of corn. They don't remove the germ and use it for something else. They don't add clay or any extra fillers to the feed. So these birds are going to eat about 90 bags of feed over the course of their life. Now, I've got one bag right now. This one bag will last them the first week, but then they're going to go up and they'll go, they'll get up to a half a bag a day, and eventually they'll get to a full bag a day. 90 bags of feed was my estimate. I think I must have based that on 100 birds because the estimate is they're going to eat 45 pounds of feed each bird to get them to my maturity, which is going to be 18 weeks roughly. We're looking to slaughter them in the middle of December, anywhere from the beginning to the middle of December. Now that's going to take them to an age much higher than you probably will. Most of you are going to take your birds up to approximately 8 weeks to 10 weeks, and you're going to have a 5 or 6 pound bird. I don't like to do that because you've got a bone that's, say, X. The bone is X. That's the size of it. At 8 pounds, bone is X. At 12 pounds, bone is X. At 15 pounds, bone is X. Where's the extra weight? In the meat. So you get more meat per bone, and we'll bear that out at the end of this series. That's why I keep them longer. Now, your feed to weight gain ratio goes from roughly 2.75, and I noticed that Purely Poultry is actually showing a lesser feed to weight gain ratio, closer to 2.5, 2.6 to 1, which is great because it used to be 3 to 1. So I figured at 2.75 to 1 on these birds. What's going to happen, though, is when they cross that 8 pound range, That's going to increase to 3 to 1 and eventually get to 3.5 to 1. Then it goes to like 5 to 1 where it's just totally unsustainable. We want to get in that sweet spot right around 3.5, and that's where you want to slaughter. That's going to be 15 pounds of live bird weight. I did the calculations, and I should have roughly, including the cost of the birds and the cost of the feed, 70 cents per pound per finished carcass. Now that's what I should have. We'll see what we end up with. So right now, this is their brooder. The nighttime heat should be okay, but we are going to put a heat lamp on them for a few hours in the early morning. And we're just going to let them grow and live in here. Now I want to show you from behind the camera the nursery, and we've got some organizing to do in the nursery. And because the nursery we have used the nursery for the goats up until now. Now, they're in this little section here, which, before some well-meaning person complains that, oh, they don't have any room, they don't. But they're going to jam together for heat. No matter what I do, they're going to jam together for heat anyway. So for 4 or 5, maybe even a week, I'm going to leave them in here until I visibly see them growing. Then we simply remove this barrier, and let's just turn around here. Bag of feed. We'll get the wheelbarrow out. The waterer then moves to this point, which is directly below a filler that we have. And they have all this area. I've got to get the milking stand out. This area is about 150 square feet. So it'll be 150 square feet, hopefully for 100 birds, but even if it's down to 90, 150 square feet, that's all the room they need. So anyone that wants to be a bleeding heart PETA type, these birds, that literally all they do is eat, drink, and crap. They don't want to walk around. They don't want to free range. They're going to be obese by genetics. In other words, they are going to act like they're a 350-pound human in about 3 weeks. They aren't going to want to move around. They want to eat, they want to drink, and they want to crap, and that's all they want to do. So I'm not being cruel by putting them in here. They were genetically raised for that, much the way that cows have been raised over the last 100 years to be living turnips. They have no brains virtually, and they just walk around and gain weight. The difference is they're like 16 to 18 to 22 pounds of feed per every 1 pound of weight gain, plus the flatulence factor. These are 275 or less to 1. Much more economical animal to raise. 100 birds is going to be a year's worth of meat for Debbie and I, and then next August we'll do it again. So that's the end of this vlog for... Remember, we're going to go parts 2, 3, and 4, maybe a 5th one, but I think part 2, 3, and 4. The links to those as they get posted will be in each description, so that if you're new or you come across this 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and you want to learn what I know about, after 20 years of doing this, what I know about raising meat birds, then you can just follow the series, whether it's 4 or 5, and we'll know soon. So the next video is going to be September the 6th, October, November, December the 6th, and that'll be slaughter. We aren't going to show you the slaughter, but we will give you the final numbers after killing all the birds. So, until September 6th, with the next video, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center, which, by the way, you can subscribe to the channel and see a lot of the other videos we've done on how to build a sustainable home. Chicken videos, chicken feed videos, just vlogs of what's been going on here. You can subscribe to that. We're always in need of money for Portland, dimensional lumber, things to help improve the place, because Debbie and I have built this place strictly on Social Security. So we need a little extra help. If you've got a little extra money, you can donate $10, $15, $20, hey, or more. That'd be fantastic. It helps, and it all goes to what you're seeing here and in the other videos. So, again, until next time, until September 6th, we'll see you later.